All right, everybody. Almost forgot to jump into the show there. I was in the green room and I forgot to put myself in. Welcome, everybody, to NorCal Sports Network. Stay tuned. We've got Dieter coming on. In fact, he's jumping in now. All right, everybody. There he is, the great Dieter Kurtenbach. Welcome, Dieter.
Hi, how's it going? Not so sure about the great part, but
yeah. Hey, I got to change hats. I have this thing where I wear hats. I tell my the people in the chat, I say I always wear the winning team's hat, so I got everybody's hat behind me.
We got a bit of a connection issue here.
A little bit of a
break. Maybe it's on my end. Hopefully, it isn't.
Yeah, I can resend the link to. It might be. Anyway, let's see. How's it? All right. Well, you work on that, and he'll come back in. But Dieter Kurtenbach's going to join us. We've got him till 8:30, and we are going to be discussing Farhan here, everybody. So make sure you guys keep it right here, NorCal Sports Network. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Apple Podcast, Instagram. Catch us live on all those. Here he is. Is that better?
I know. Yes, it's so much better. I think it was probably on my end, which hell of a professional I am, huh?
There you go. There you go. All right. All right. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, well, hey, Dieter, I know we got limited time. Want to get right into this. I did a show this morning at 10 o'clock and thought about it last night, put the thumbnail out and said, let's go ahead. And, I did a show on getting rid of Farhan, and I read your article later today.
Yeah.
And I just want to give you the floor. Tell us your thoughts, your reasons, what prompted you to write the article, and why you,
why
feel
I'm
it's
calling
necessary
for a man's job. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something I do lightly. It's also, not to pretend as if I have the kind of influence that can get something like that done. So we're in a weird grayscale area here, but obviously things haven't been trending the right way. I don't think that's news to anybody. I know that certainly on this channel that's well known.
Yes.
And
Fact,
a million fans that I talk to. I don't know anyone who wants this guy in. I have been preaching patience, and ultimately I've consistently come back when defending Farhan, or at least defending the regime. I've come back to, well, who would you rather have in charge? Who would you rather have in charge? And I just don't think that matters anymore. I think that we're at a point where the proof is in the pudding, and when you're not when your team isn't performing and your organization isn't any stronger than it was when you took over, and you're 6 years in, and now the 107 year looks more like the exception that proves the rule than anything else, that's one thing. To then do what Farhan has done at the trade deadline, which I understand is not entirely his call, but ultimately it is his responsibility. And the comments after the trade deadline were downright insulting to the intelligence of Giants fans and the media. Now, the media, it's not hard to insult our intelligence. We don't have much of it. And fans, certainly, I mean, those who show up and watch this team every day hoping for something better, I can't say that you're not smart. I just think that you're looking for something and you want some hope. And I think Farhan took advantage of the vulnerabilities there by talking out of both sides of his mouth. And again, I know that ultimately he's got to do what's best for himself, and he has to cover up for some people higher up in the organization and all these things. But he's where the buck stops. He's the director of player or baseball operations. He can't pass this thing to somebody else. He already used his get out of jail free card by throwing Gabe Kapler under the bus for failures that were just as much his as Gabe's. And now he has nowhere to turn. And I found his post-trade deadline press conference and then his KMBR appearance to be strictly insulting. It had been something that had been bothering me pretty significantly since it had happened. But the Giants were winning games. And I said, hey, the second they lose a series, I'm going for it. I'm done. I can't justify this anymore. And for them to on Wednesday to lose the series the way that they did against the Braves, and obviously that is, it's not the season, but it's a pretty good microcosm of the season here. Yeah. Oh, they were on a hot streak. Then they had an opportunity to show that it wasn't just a little thing. No, actually, yeah, it was just a little thing. And the sending down of Marco Luciano, who, again, no one can defend his play on the field, but when you have your director of baseball player operations, baseball operations, coming out at the trade deadline saying, we are trading our best power hitter in Jorge Soler, which doesn't say much about their power hitting, but their best power hitter. We are trading him away with 2 years remaining on his contract that I signed him to. We are trading him away for nothing, for absolutely nothing. No offense to the prospect that came back. They are nothing. They're not showing up on any lists. They're not making the major leagues. It's nothing. To dump that salary and to do it ostensibly or as stated so that they can give Marco Luciano the runway in these final 2 months of the season to see if he can hit at the major league level, and to then give him only 21 at-bats before sending him down is prospect malpractice. On top of the prospect malpractice of keeping him at shortstop for multiple years when it was clear he couldn't play there, then sending him down when he couldn't play shortstop, keeping Nick Ahmed up as long as they did, keeping Tyler Fitzgerald in center field and in Sacramento. What could have been there? Just the way that they have, everything that's gone on this season has just been laughable. And to do Luciano like that because, oh, well, Bob wants to play Mark Canha, his buddy, who is fine. He's fine. He's replacement level at best. He was once a really, really good player, but it's Mark Canha here. And Mark Canha is not doing anything for you this year, and he sure as shit ain't doing anything for you down the line.
Correct.
So the idea that you're giving the at-bats to him because apparently he can help you win, and you are sacrificing your number one overall prospect again so that you can, what? Play Mark Canha, play this Encarnacion guy who was playing in the Mexican League earlier this year. Right. Like, again, no offense to either of those players. They've been fine, but fine doesn't cut it anymore. This entire team has been fine. Fine gets you to 503.5 back on August 15th. And a player like Luciano, perhaps, probably not, but perhaps gave you a chance to do something interesting. Maybe not this year, probably not this year, but next year and beyond. And now he will remain a mystery. He will remain a quadruple A player on a team that just does nothing but find quadruple A players. And ultimately, Farhan Zaidi, credit to him, he got this team back up to some level of respectability by working the bottom of the roster. No one's better at roster spots 20 to 25 than Farhan Zaidi. Absolutely nailed it on that. That was a trick that worked for the first year, 2 of his tenure. We are now 6 years in, and that's being generous.
Right.
Yeah, everyone had to deal with COVID. The Giants aren't excluded on that. The farm system that he took over was bottom third in baseball. Some people had it like 28. Some people had it 21. Depends on who you talk to and what you read. But it was a unquestioned bottom third farm system in baseball. Farhan Zaidi has graduated one everyday player that he drafted in 6 years, Patrick Bailey. And now maybe Tyler Fitzgerald's too. The jury is still out. He has just over 200 at-bats as a major leaguer. Way too early to say he's a regular. Elliot Ramos was inherited and totally mucked up until this season. Oh,
he was the first guy, Dieter, that I talk about. He was the first guy in spring. He wasn't even given an opportunity to make the roster. It was like, he's gone. Yaz is penciled in as the everyday right fielder, and Conforto in left. I get it with Conforto. He's making $18 million. You got to either play him or get rid of him. Yaz, I don't.
They gave him a qualifying offer, though. I mean, that's
right. So they give Yaz $8 million, and they say he's got the job. Ramos doesn't even get an opportunity, gets sent down. And the only reason he made the All-Star team, well, he made it because he deserved it, but he earned it. But he wouldn't have been here if Lee, Slater, and Conforto didn't get hurt.
That's right. That's right. And if Luis Matos hadn't taken what was he had such a great spring, Matos, and they said, not a chance, not a chance, not a chance. They sent him back down to the minor leagues, and then they looked like they were, they sent him in the minor leagues. All they did was, I mean, it's easy to say this in retrospect. I mean, it's a very inexact science here. If anyone was, if I could do it, I'd be doing it. So, a credit where it's due. But ultimately, they took a guy who was their hottest hitter in spring, and they sent him down because they didn't want to give him a shot because they had to have Slater and Yaz playing in right field. They had to have those guys. And so they send down the best hitter they had in spring in Matos. He finally gets called up when some injuries happen. He dominates. But it took him, the momentum that he had was completely squashed, and all of these bugs and issues that I guess they can say kept popping up. It really hurt him as a prospect, in my opinion. And again, it's hindsight being 2020. But if you give that guy a shot coming out of the gate, I think you're in such a better position. And the fact is, they didn't even give him a shot. He was their best hitter. They didn't even give Ramos a shot to be their best hitter in spring training. Marco Luciano gets penciled. But by the way, and that would be fine if there was a congruency with how they handled it. But Marco Luciano was given every opportunity to then be the starting shortstop, which he maybe could do as a hitter, but absolutely could not do with the glove. And they kept trying, and then the hamstrings and all this stuff, but they kept, oh no, he'll be a shortstop. I'm not, terribly sourced in baseball these days, but every source that I talk to about, the Giants farm system, people who know farm systems, I go, Luciano looks like he could be a hell of a hitter. And they go, he could be if he's playing first base, if he's playing left field. I mean, everyone's like, there wasn't a single person in baseball outside of the Giants organization who thought it was a good idea to keep that guy at short. They just thought that it would magically fix itself. And it's like, unless you have Ozzie Smith working with them for 10 hours every day, how is this going to get better? And they've just botched prospect after prospect after prospect. And then they ride a hot hand, and then they don't know what the hell to do with them as soon as that hand gets cold again, because guess what? Prospects go up and down. They're hot and cold. It's hard to be a Major League Baseball player. This team has no reason to buy into it this year. Every time they look like they're doing something good, they immediately remind you who they actually are. And again, we're looking at a situation where 6 years ago, they were in appreciably the exact same scenario as they are now. And that's just unacceptable if you're a director of baseball ops. It's just unacceptable that I can't point to anything and say, this is better. This is why we keep him around. I can't do it anymore. And I won't do it anymore after he was so condescending to the fan base.
Great. I love it. And I imagine if they 6 years ago would have did what the Baltimore Orioles did, and where would they be today had they taken that route? They've tried to thread this needle by playing middle to average players and then develop the farm, and they really haven't hit in the farm. Like you said, Bailey, great catcher, one of the best receivers. But framers.
He's a bottom 5 line of the lineup guy. I mean,
exactly.
If you're a good team, he should be batting 7, 8, or 9.
Correct.
If you're a mediocre team, he's right there 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you're, I don't know what team would want to put him in the top 3, but here we are.
He was batting cleanup for a part of the year.
There are moments when you go, oh, that's okay, because he can, but he's not going to be a guy who's putting up, his war is going to be entirely tied to the fact that he's a great defensive catcher. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can get away with something like that if you have a really good team around him. But when you're constantly, and this is the issue I have with the Zaidi administration in a nutshell, when you're constantly trying to win on the margins, you better actually be competitive with the teams you're playing. You can't try to win on the margins when the margin is massive. And the margin between this team and the Dodgers, this team and the Padres, this team and the Diamondbacks, Diamondbacks is massive right now. And you can say, oh, they can beat them in 2 or 3. Who can't? The White Sox took a game off the Yankees the other day. The White Sox are the worst team I've ever seen in my life, and I'm a White Sox fan. So it's like, by the way, I will say, hindsight being 2020, you could say, what if they would just done what the Orioles did? There's no guarantee of that either. I mean, the Baltimore,
they haven't developed.
The Orioles did it. I mean, the White Sox did exactly what the Atlanta Braves did. They got young talent. They locked them up early, and they locked them up in some cases before they were pros. And look at where the White Sox are and look at where the Braves are. You have to have the actual players. And Farhan Zaidi is very, very good at finding guys who you can plug into the lineup for a week or two, and he can get some pretty good at-bats. There's no question that Blake Snell is an awesome pitcher, right? We'll see if he's on this team next year. There's no question that Matt Chapman is an outstanding, I mean, legitimately MVP caliber player when he stays hot. And the adjustments that he's made this year to fend off some of the inconsistencies that he's shown are outstanding. He is an elite player in this game. I don't know if he's going to stick around. Giants haven't even approached him yet about staying long term. They have a lot of guys who are on the friends and family discount. Right. Think about the players that they've signed in recent years. I mean, Conforto, he's got Bay Area, I think he lives in Santa Cruz. Like it's all these guys who have these Bay Area ties. And then this offseason, of course, they miss again. They keep missing. They always miss on the big one. And they kept putting all their eggs in that basket. Is what it is. That sucks. You got to make your own stars in this league anyway. It doesn't matter if you get an Ohtani, if you get a Judge. You have to. Right. You have to make your own stars to bolster them. And they haven't done it. But like the one point is, think about the two guys that they got who have been so excellent, at least Snell as of late, and Chapman. Why are they here? They're here because they want to play for Bob. Right. Like that. Again, this is not a recruitment strategy. You can't just bring in friends and family and anyone who actually wants to be in the Bay and expect to be competitive when you're dealing with teams that have actual, analytical game plans, or in the case of the Dodgers, that plus a ton of money and an environment that is consistently a winner. And it's just, the whole thing just reeks of there actually isn't a plan. And when you got Farhan coming out and saying, we're going to give Marco Luciano a bunch of at-bats, and then he gets 21 because Bob won't play him. That's not a plan. And if there is a plan, it's sure as hell not being communicated throughout the organization. And if you as the director of baseball ops can't get the plan through, then you have failed in your job and you got to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'll say this about the team. A lot of people got excited about the Giants catching up with the Braves. Right now, they're 3.5 back, but they're more like 4 or 5. They're 5 back in the loss column. And I did the math last night on the show. The Braves right now, their record is 64-57. Giants are 62-62. Giants have 38 games left. Yep. For the Giants to win 85 games,
which that would be a low bar to get to
they they have to go 23-15, and Atlanta to win only 84 games would be 20-21. They'd have to play under 500. That's the only way the Giants can because if they tie, the Braves have the tiebreaker. So I think the Braves probably win closer to 86 or 87. Of
course.
That means the Giants have to win 88. Because they're not catching the Padres.
The whole thing is laughable because since we flipped the calendar to August, since the trade deadline, I mean, even since the All-Star break, it's been pretty clear. The Giants were going to have to play like 6-20 baseball. And it's like, well, they have played 6-20 baseball for 2.5 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. And then what do? Oh, they totally soil the bed. And then they lose 6 of 8, And it's just Farhan's going, oh, well, we think we can get on a hot streak. Getting on a hot streak hasn't been this team's issue. It's been maintaining some level of quality once the hot streak's over. And this is what happens when you have a bunch of streaky-ass players and a bunch of guys who can't actually hold a lineup together, and you're patchworking runs every single day of the week. This is what happens when the, quote, best rotation in baseball actually has 2 dudes. One of the other guys, one, Robbie Ray. We saw what happened on Wednesday. 2, Kyle Harrison, who should not be pitching anymore. I mean, Kyle Harrison has lost multiple ticks off of his fastball. He can't get strikes with it on swing and misses. This kid's arm is begging to be shut down. I think any other team in baseball would be smart enough and say, hey, we got something here with Harrison. Let's do the smart, prudent thing. We've overworked him. The velocity is down. The spin rate is down. He's tired. The kid is 23 years old. He's never been at this level for this long. He's pitching more innings than ever before. This kid is tired. And instead, they're keeping him out there, having to gut it out for 5 innings. This kid's arm is going to pop. It is. I don't want to be, crazy and alarmist. Every warning sign in the book is blaring right now. Every light in the house is red and spinning. This kid's arm is going to get injured if they keep rolling him out there. And then Hayden Birdsong has a 17 ERA in the last month. I mean, that's the best rotation in baseball. 1 and 2 are sick.
Yeah,
Those
1
guys
and
are
2
awesome.
are sick. Yeah, that's
Those
1
guys
and 2
are
is
awesome.
the best in baseball. But
2 guys ain't a rotation.
3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's exactly what we were saying.
Oh, and it would have been great if you had somebody like an Alex Cobb who can come in and say, hey, we're going to give a day off to Harrison. We're going to give a day off to Birdsong. But instead, you traded him to Cleveland for a guy who was ranked 460th on Baseball America's prospects list for the class that he was drafted in.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? The answer is they're shedding money. They're trying to cover their tracks. And Farhan doesn't have as much power as he thought he did. The whole thing was so predictable. It was so predictable because they didn't announce Farhan's contract extension. And to this day, I can't get a straight answer, and I ask all the time, on how long that contract extension actually is. He told me that his extension is the exact same length as Bob Melvin's contract. I have heard from other people in the organization that it's in fact sort of a 1+1+1, a Matt Chapman kind of deal. Maybe those two things are true at the same time, but that's a pretty important detail. And the fact is that the Giants didn't announce in any way, shape, or form. The only way to get this information was to ask Farhan Zaidi at Bob Melvin's press conference, what's your contract situation? And for him to give an obfuscating answer as to sort of, oh, no, it's the same. Everything's fine. No problem. Whatever. And they put on this unified front. It doesn't sound like that's the case. I don't know how ironclad Bob's contract is, but this thing was set up to fail from the jump because they don't actually have a unified front. They just did one for show. And that's why everyone's talking and just trying to save their jobs with talk. Buddy, the time for talk is over. This is Major League Baseball. You have 162 games to do your talking. And to this point, I do not like what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I hope a change is made. It has to be made because this franchise has been, I look back at when Ned Colletti and Brian Sabian actually reversed the order. Sabes and Colletti took over in 96. Their first moves were, were not popular, trading Matt Williams. No. But in 97 through 04, the first 8 seasons, they had a winning record. And under today's playoff format, with 3 wild cards, they would have been in the playoffs 8 straight years. That's in fact, under Colletti's, or I keep saying Colletti, under Sabes' regime, 20 years from, if you count through 16, he was there, even though Bobby Evans was technically in charge. Sabes was overseeing the whole thing.
Right.
20 years, 97 to 16, 20 years, 15 winning seasons, 15, 75%. Farhan's 1 for 5 and about to be 1 for 6.
That's right. That is right. And legitimately, it's not even, he will try to spin out of this by saying, actually, we have a lot of promise with Ramos and Bailey and Fitzgerald and whomever they're going to bring up, like in Birds, like everything's going to be great next year. Yeah. And you know what? No one's going to buy it except for the guys who write his checks. If they come in, they go, we won 84 games. Everything's going to be fine next year. We're going to win 90 next year. And the people who write the checks buy it. Tells you how serious they are. Tells you how serious they are about this, because you cannot watch this product, which they have invested legitimately a lot of money in, right? I mean, I will give some credit to the Johnson family and the ownership group. Like, They keep losing on these big free agents. They at least spent some money, right? And it was market deals, right? They got some deals done with 2 very, very good players. If you invest this kind of money, and I know that they just shed salary, I guess if you see this team, you can understand why. But if you put this kind of money into a team where you get even me, pessimist number 1, saying, this team looks like they can win 90. This team looks like they absolutely should be in a playoff spot. I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but this is a playoff team with the quality of players that they have. When you have that, and then you turn in this, and you might go, the difference is small. The difference is everything. That's all that matters. You're on the outside. You've never been in. You have stayed outside the door the entire flipping season. You have never once, you knocked on the door for one day. You knock on the door for one day out of months. That doesn't pass as being in playoff contention. Just because you could touch it theoretically doesn't mean you can actually touch it. There's a lot of things that I could theoretically do that I sure shit can't do. I think we can all get in line on that. Theory can go pretty far. My body can't. And
Right.
so it's like this notion that he's going to try to spin this thing just to save his job and save his job and save his job. And he was already doing it during that, those media appearances post trade deadline, trying to pretend as if you could have it both ways. Oh, we're going to play the young guys, but we're going to keep winning. It's like, well, why didn't you just do that from the jump? That seems like a much cheaper way of doing business. That seems like that'd be much better for the ownership.
To me, Farhan fits the Peter principle perfectly.
Yeah.
He just went a level higher than he's capable of. To me, the ownership, if they want to keep Farhan around, put him in charge of analytics, take his role away as president of baseball.
But that's not how it works.
Yeah, I know.
He'll go do it for somewhere else, and he'll probably be very good at that job somewhere else because he is legitimately a very bright man.
Well, but he's best suited in a small market.
I think he can be the GM if we're going to do this, this director of baseball ops crap everywhere we go. Then he's great as the day-to-day guy because he's great at the minutia. He is legitimately great at that. If you need a dude you need to find a first baseman for a week on waivers, Farhan's your guy.
Yeah.
He's got that made. You need to build a team that can compete with the Dodgers. You're fucked. It's not going to happen. So maybe small market is there. Take over the White Sox. I'm sure he'd do great there. He'd be great with the A's. I mean, there are certain levels to this game. And ultimately, the frustration that I have is that a lot of this fan base has gotten to the point where it is just about, just make the playoffs once. Just give me that little bit of something. Just give me a little hit, daddy. And you know what? Fair play. I'd like to see playoff baseball too. That's a stepping stone. But the fact is, it feels like that's the pinnacle now for the San Francisco Giants. That is an appreciable change. And I know that everyone was riding pretty high off of the 3 titles and maybe got a little into everybody's heads. But ultimately, this is still one of the biggest markets in baseball, one of the most profitable teams in baseball, one of the premier brands in baseball. And that has been spoiled over the last 6 years. And you had one glorious year that still no one can flip and explain, where it felt like that was back. And you saw the response that happened. I mean, the atmosphere in that playoff game, Buster Posey, opposite field home run, unbelievable. And it shouldn't be that hard to sell this as something. But ultimately, you got to take your licks on the fact that no hitter is going to want to play here in free agency. You got to build your own stars. And when your farm system has gone from ass to, hey, maybe there's something, it never turns into anything, and now it's considered ass again, and you're 6 years in, I'm sorry, man. I'm not sure what it is you do here. Because you didn't bring in any stars outside of the ones that wanted to just play for Bob. Bob brought those stars in. You haven't built any stars. You really haven't. I mean, even Ramos is showing.
Right. Yeah. Cracks. I mean, Ramos is, we knew he was going to come back to earth.
You just, all you've done is just play arbitrage. You just played, the fast trading hedge fund game. And that's, that can get you so far in baseball. And I guess we figured out just how far it is.
Right. Before you head out, last question. Percentage. Give me a percentage. Farhan gone or stays?
What's their winning percentage at the end of the year?
I say they're right at close to 500.
81, 81?
81, 81, 80, 79, 83, right in that range.
Listen, it's one of these things where I've now primed people who do maybe know a little bit of something to come out of the woodworks and say, you're right on this. So in the last, couple hours, there's been a couple of people that I trust that are like, you nailed it or whatever, which I appreciate. It's pretty easy, low-hanging fruit for me, to be honest. I mean, say that the failing director of baseball ops should be out of a job. I mean, wow, what a stance. So I would say more likely than not, what that means, let's call it 60-40 right now, that he's out. And honestly, that 40 is unjustifiable. I mean, I don't think you're right. There is percentages to this, all these stuff. You run through all the probabilities, this and that. This is a binary thing. Has he done a good job or has he not? And I'm the last holdout. And here I am. I'm not trying to do some populist
I've been
nonsense.
Trying to drive the bus, Dieter, but
I know. And I found it annoying, but because again, there is this anti-analytic community that kind of gets in on that. I get it. I'm not saying that there's not merit to that kind of stuff, but that does grind my gears as someone who cares about analytics.
I think I actually good, but it's the reliance 100% on it that
I don't like to ascribe baseball wins and losses to devil magic, but honestly, that's all Farhan has to stand on at this point is devil magic. And like, dude, you're the analytics guy, and your best season is inexplicable. What are we supposed to work with here? I have nothing to defend the guy with. I gotta sell all my stock now. If the market crashes, the market crashes.
Yeah,
but I gotta get out.
Well, I let you go. Everybody's in the chat giving you greetings. Love having you on, Dieter. Thanks.
Absolutely.
We'll have you back on later. Hopefully, we'll have you back on someday when Farhan does get the boot and we could talk about.
I need to start hitting up those sources on who the hell should take this job, because I have not gotten to that point yet. But I'll have answers by then. By then. Good talking to you.
Have a great night. All right. Dieter Kurtenbach there, San Jose Mercury, KNBR, and what a treat that was. Hopefully his words, his article, all of that comes to pass, because this Giants team has to change. This is pathetic, guys. They won the ball game today. We'll get into the ball game here just a little bit. It's not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, they played great today, 6-0 behind Logan Webb. Bats somewhat came out. Casey Schmidt 3 for 4 with a home run. And what could you say? Logan Webb, he goes into the 8th inning. I don't know what his final numbers were. I didn't even look. What was it? 7 1/3. Logan Webb. Let me look here. Check the box score real quick. Logan Webb went 7 2/3. Okay, 7 2/3. Gave up only 4 hits, 1 walk, 7 Ks, and threw 104 pitches. So give credit to Logan Webb. Again, the offensive star was Casey Schmidt. And then the home run by Grant McCray. He goes 2 for 3. I'll say this about Grant McCray. I put something out on Twitter today. His first hit was a little bunt dribbler that didn't even leave the dirt, didn't even make it to the grass. Max Fried came in, charged it, gloved it, and in one motion flipped the ball to the catcher, Travis d'Arnaud. Nice, easy, perfect toss that came out of the glove, and d'Arnaud didn't squeeze it. He was out by, 3 feet? And easy out. Foot was on the bag. He just didn't hold on to the ball, and they ruled it a base hit. And I'm like, you can't call that a base hit. Don't give that kid his first hit. And, they throw the ball in, they sign the ball, and it's like first hit, and he's going to get that ball. And I'm thinking, don't make that his first hit, because first of all, it was an error. It was a fielder's choice and an error on the catcher for dropping the ball. I mean, you'd think that, it was like the ball was really hard to catch. It was just right there, just right there. Come on, squeeze the glove. He's out. That's what catchers are supposed to do. And they give him a hit. And I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. You're going to give him a hit? And, nothing against Grant McCray. I like Grant McCray. I want him to be successful, and I think he's got a very good shot at being successful. But if that's me, I'm thinking, I don't want that to be my first hit. And then later in the game, he crushes it to center field over the wall for a home run. Make that your first hit. Yeah, I agree, Kitchen. I know it's not a commonly made play, and it was a tough play, but he did make the play. The pitcher did make the play. It was a perfect toss to the catcher. He didn't even have to, I know it was close, and he had to. It's probably hard to get the ball when you're that close, but, as Mark Graves said, catcher didn't even take his mask off, which probably hampered him seeing the ball. Yeah. I don't know if, he should have just, boom, flipped that mask off as soon as he popped up out of the crouch, and you throw that mask off right behind you. Got to be careful. The ump's got to be looking for it. So it was just a force out, simple force out, and Foot was on home plate, and you squeeze the ball. You don't worry about anything else. You're not going to get a double play on McCray. You got to know who's up. Your one job is just catch the ball. You know you're not going to get run over at the plate. They're not going to charge, and Carcinone's not going to bowl you over. Just watch the ball. I mean, how hard is that? Just a little toss. I mean, anyway, bottom line was I wanted McRae for McRae's sake, his first hit to be a line drive single, double, triple, but he even did better. He hit a home run. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity for the official scorer to change the ruling on that and change it to an error and put McRae in the record books with his first major league hit, along with, hundreds of other ball players who their first major league hit was a home run. Wouldn't that have been something? He'd be right up there with Will Clark. We still all remember Will Clark's first major league hit, right? It was a home run off of Nolan Ryan. We remember it, 1986. It was unbelievable. Everybody talks about it. Hey, Will Clark's first hit was a home run. How about, Grant McRae's first hit, home, crushed it over the center field wall. That would have been special. And then the official scorekeeper today, somehow there's a ground ball to Chapman. He throws it over high to Casey Schmidt. Casey gets the ball up here. I got to put my camera up here. Gets it up here, stretches, and brings it down. His foot's on the bag, or comes off the bag when he kind of jumps. Foot goes back on the bag, and he grabs the ball out of his glove to maybe throw it to first, and the ball pops out. And that's always called taking the ball out on the exchange. And one of the worst calls I've seen in a while. Kruko went nuts, and he said that's one of the worst calls he's ever seen. And they actually challenged it, and the umpires in New York, didn't overrule it. They kept the whole thing. They said the rules, the play stands. I'm just like, what in the heck are you thinking? So anyway, Giants fortunately got out of it. Line drive to Canna, next batter. Line drive, he catches on the fly, doubles the runner off first base. And, as they said on the broadcast, the baseball gods took care of that. So anyway, let's see what we got in the chat, guys. Philip says, worst call I've seen in a long time. Definitely one of the worst calls seen in a long time. Mark Graves says, I think McRae would rather have his home run as his first hit. I do too. Some people I've heard say, players rather have the stats because that's how they get paid, arbitration years on their stats. I mean, is one hit and one RBI going to make that much of a difference? I mean, if McRae's going to reach arbitration and be arbitration eligible, I don't think that one hit and one RBI is going to be much of a difference, because he's going to have a good career just to get to arbitration, right? So I thought him just crushing that ball was beautiful. Seeing his dad, doing the heart sign, however you do that, up in the stands. That was wonderful. That was cool. His dad, Rodney McRae, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the clip of Rodney McRae running through the wall in the minor leagues. He crashed through the right center field wall, and it was pretty wild. It's, you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but it's out there. And let me see if I can pull that clip out for you. Let me see. Hold on one sec. I'm gonna bring that clip up for you guys here. Watch this. Okay, you ready, guys? Here we go. Just watch this catch in the outfield. Grant McRae's dad. Isn't that hilarious? That's hilarious. So that is Grant McCrae's dad. So I agree with Mark. Hey, Shell. She's saying hi to Caleb. Caleb Rossi. I've seen you in the chat here before. Welcome back, Caleb. Who else we got in here? Some of our members. Let's highlight some of our members. Mark Graves, one of our members. Who else we got in here as members? Good to see Kyle in here. How you doing, Kyle? Mark Graves. We got Lydia in the house. Thanks for Lydia P joining us again. Haven't seen you in a while. Of course, I'm not always looking at the chat. Hey, thank you, Caleb. Appreciate the kind words. I know you have many choices, but thanks for being here. All right, guys, I'm handling this chat all by myself here. So I thought Bora might join us tonight. He still may, but he had, I don't know if he was on his way home. Not sure if he made it, but guys, this is going to be, we got a night off tomorrow. Giants are off. So they got the 2 games against the A's, and then they've got the White Sox. This is a chance for them to win 5 in a row. They won today, and I told you guys the other day, this is the perfect opportunity for them to win 5 in a row. Go in and take Oakland and take the first 2 of Chicago, and you've won 5 in a row. Now, if you do that, if you actually swept Oakland and then came home and swept the White Sox before you went out on the road trip to Seattle, then Milwaukee, you might be giving yourself a little bit of a chance. My guess is they go 3-2. They split with Oakland, and somehow they take 2 of 3 from the White Sox. That's what I think will happen, and they will be 1 game over 500 5 games from now. That's what I'm predicting. And I think I don't know which game they get against Oakland, but you're not having your best pitch. I think Snell goes in one of them, right? Let's take a look at those pitching matchups real quick. On Saturday night, it is undecided against Osvaldo Bido of the A's. And then Sunday, that was probably Snell. Nope, they haven't decided yet. So they're trying to decide. Snell pitched Monday, so he'd have normal day rest to pitch on Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So they may go Snell and then Harrison, or they may give those guys an extra day. I don't know what they're going to do, because who pitched last Sunday? That would be who would be in line. Let me look and see who pitched Sunday. That was Birdsong. So are you going to pitch Birdsong on Saturday and Snell on Sunday, or are you going to skip Birdsong? I think they may be looking at trying to skip Birdsong, give his arm a little break, because this is the first day off the Giants have had in a couple weeks tomorrow. So it's going to be pretty tough. So this will be a challenge. So guys, I'm thinking that I'm thinking they might skip Birdsong. Caleb Ross says how to become a member. Gosh, I wish there's some place you press in the chat on YouTube. I don't know exactly. I should know that, guys. I'm sorry. I should know that. Let me see if I can get that figured out and let you guys know, because I know some. You know what? Mark can tell you. Oh, Caleb Rossi, click the join button. Okay. Yeah, just click the join button is what you do. I haven't even, go, Mark's a member. So hit the join button and that's how you do it. All right. Well, let's see. I wanted just to bring your guys' attention to this. The show is sponsored by the bottom there, NorCal Sports Network, sponsored by Secure Money, which is my company up there in the left-hand corner. If you guys need any help in the area of protecting your money, growing your money without risk, give me a call there's two numbers there, the 623-825-3900 or the 888-960-SAFE, like SAFE, SAFE. That's 888-960-7233 or SAFE. And that's because your funds are safe. You can't lose money at all in the market. Or I also do life insurance. If you're younger and you haven't kind of created that nest egg yet for your financial future, you're going to need life insurance because if something happens to you, you definitely want to leave money to your family, especially if you got any young kids. Make sure you have enough life insurance. And I can get you the best rates available because I don't work for one company. I shop all of them because I work for you. And also Flex Funding. That's Los D. Give Los D a call at 925-250-4894. The numbers are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Los D will help you if you need a loan for a mortgage or you need a refi or anything like that. Special types of loans. He has all kinds of loans, not just mortgage loans. So check out Los D. Give him a call and he will help you out. Okay. And Los D just put up a comment. He says, thanks to George and Nick in the chat for reaching out to me for some financial help. Enjoyed meeting them outside the show. Yes. Awesome, guys. So we appreciate that. We need to get, Cliff says we need to get Lolos as a sponsor. Lolos. Good. There we go. But yeah, guys, hit us up if you would. If you need help, doesn't mean you have to do business with us, but we'd love to earn the opportunity to try to help you. And as Shell is saying, be sure to like and sub. I love it. Shell's in there pushing the subs and the likes. Guys, it really does help us out. We're all a big family here. We try to bring you the best of the sports going on in the NorCal sports area in the Bay Area. In fact, if you guys missed it, go check yesterday morning's morning show out with me and Shell. Shell was in her 80s 49er jacket gear by Starter, and she nailed it yesterday, man. She knows her Niner stuff, and she was hitting it up. And I asked her the question about Ayuk. What do you think? She said perfectly. It should have happened right after the Super Bowl. They should have got the deal done, and but they didn't. So we'll see what happens. But guys, check us out. We're here in the mornings. In fact, we're thinking of changing the show to 10 because we did a little poll and what time's the best time for the morning show called Game Plan. And we did 8, 9, or 10. 10 was pretty big winner where 8 o'clock was way down, was dead last. Very few people wanted it at 8. And so we did 10 this morning and we tested it and we got more views at 10. So we doubled our views at 10 o'clock versus 8 o'clock. So, hey, Rob, good to see you. Good to see you. And Robert Rothberg, our eternal optimist. If the Giants make the playoffs, no team would want to face Snell or Webb. Robert, I love Robert Rothberg. I don't agree with his views, but you know what? As I said last night, Robert might be probably one of the best dads in America because if you're Robert Rothberg's kid, you're going to get encouragement, even when you mess up because he's all positive. And you know what? He's probably going to outlive us all because he's positive. and positive's good for the soul, right? It's good for your soul to be positive and to laugh. I think I'm okay even ripping on the Giants because they make me laugh. The Giants are comical for me, so I have some good laughs at times, keeps me loose. Gotta laugh, people. Gotta laugh. And if you can't laugh, then you gotta be able to laugh. One more laugh. Let's hit a loud one. There you go. Laugh. All right. That's enough of the laughs. So, yeah. I laugh at Farhan a lot. I do. I do laugh at Farhan a lot because I get irritated with him, but my goodness. What can you say? Matthew, one of our mods, says he definitely agrees with what you just said. I'm not saying the Giants have a good offense, but Snell and Webb twice in a series is very formal, in my opinion. I agree. Oh, absolutely, Matthew. We've all agreed. At least I know I have, and I know many others in the chat. I have said I don't believe from day one the Giants will make the playoffs. But when they signed Blake Snell along with Logan Webb, I said I think if the Giants get in the playoffs, they're going to be dangerous because no one's going to want to face them, especially in a 3-game series. You can knock them out in 2 games the first round, and then you get into the division series, and then it's only a 5-game series. And you know what? Blake Snell going game 1 probably got a very good chance of winning, followed up by Logan Webb. Now you're up 2-0, even though you're playing on the road. Now you come back, you got 2 at home and then 1 back on the road. And you know what? You might lose. You never know what can happen if you're up 2-0. We've seen it happen. Then you get Blake Snell in game 5 if there's a game 5. So, Steven Ortega says, Dan, the Giants are a good team. We're not eliminated yet. Well, Steven, you're not a good team. The Giants are not a good team. A good team is not 62-62 after 124. You're an average team. Good teams are like 15 games over 500 right now, at least 10 over. Good teams are, if I pull up the standings, guys, of the, let me just pull up the standings, right? Give me 1 sec, and I'll show you what good teams are. There's only a handful of good teams in all of Major League Baseball. I would say maybe 7. Let's take a look. All right. We'll just do do we have that on? Okay, let me pull this up. Major League standings. Let's take a look at expanded. No, I want overall. There. Okay. Overall. Maybe there's about 10 good teams. Start off with Cleveland. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 10 good teams, 11. Take it all the way down to the Astros, 10 over. That's my limit on a good team at this point in the season, 10 over 500. Okay. So you got Cleveland and Baltimore at the top, Yankees, Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers, Diamondbacks, Padres tied. Then you got the Twins, the Royals, and the Astros. Atlanta Braves 11, Red Sox 12, Mariners 13, Mets 14, Giants right in the middle. Dead in the middle. 15. They have the 15th best record in all of baseball at 62-62. So I don't know where this team's going, guys. I think I know where they're going. I think where I have them going is exactly, I think they improve over last year. I think last year they were 79-83. I think they finish up 80-82. I could see them losing to St. Louis, the last game of the year at home, and St. Louis needs that win to get into the playoffs. Maybe St. Louis is fighting Atlanta. More than likely, both teams are out of it, St. Louis and the Giants, and that's just a series that has maybe a good feel at the end of the season. If the Giants are out of it, wouldn't it be great to see Brandon Crawford, final game, get a standing ovation and hit one out of the park and ride off into the sunset, call it a career, and finish his major league career with a home run at Oracle Park? That would be a storybook ending for Brandon Crawford. Los says the Giants should have their Reds logo because that's their grade year after year. You mean the C? Right there, the C? Or the Cleveland Indians up there, the C? Right there. There we go. I like this. I like the red C, though. That's a pretty cool looking C, isn't it, right there? Huh? Look at that. Reach out and grab that hat. There we go. Yes. So, Tommy Huxley, the best rotation in baseball, my pale white ass. Oh, yeah. 2-man rotation. It's a 2-man rotation and you know what? It's pretty much going to be that way. Los D says the Indian C is nicer. There are two different types of C's. You know, I think the red C is more, let me get out of the way. The red C is more, what's the word I want to use? More recognizable or familiarity? Would that be it? More familiar with the red C? At least I am, because it's been didn't the Indians, Guardians, whatever, Cleveland, I'll call them the Indians. Didn't the Indians, they used to have Chief Wahoo or whatever his name was on the hat, didn't they? I think they did. I always thought that Cleveland had the old Chief Wahoo on the hat there. Yeah, that's exactly right. I like that old hat. Remember this one, guys? That was a cool hat. That was a really cool hat. Yeah. Shell says, I told you, Dan, being a Barry sports fan is a whole second and in some cases third job. Yes. Robert says, Dan, in a playoff game, those previous stats are insignificant. Hey, if you know what? I don't stats in the playoffs. I'm not worried. I agree, Robert. You get in the playoffs. Kitchen Handy says, it's the Guardians, Dan. Get with the times. Yes, with laughing emojis. Yes. I know. I'm old school though. I'm still, hey, I still remember when it was the Stanford Indians. The Stanford Indians, and then they went to the Cardinals, or just the Cardinal. Is it just Stanford Cardinal now? I think it is. I think it's not even plural. But yeah, Stanford. What other team had to change their name? It was Cleveland. Wasn't there another team that had to change their name? Yeah, you know, Tommy, it's funny. You say the same thing I think. That name is the worst name I've ever heard of. Every time I hear the Cleveland Guardians, I think of a wedding for some reason. Why do I think of a wedding every time? Oh, Redskins. Yeah, the Commanders now. Yeah. Why do I think of a wedding when I hear the name Guardians? Does anybody have an answer? I'll tell you the answer while I come right back and show you something in just 1 minute. Hold on 1 sec. Okay, I'm back. Maybe we'll put these up for a prize or something, huh? A Redskins fleece throwback, a blanket. Look at that. Unopened. You guys like that? Huh? I got some shirts too. There's the Cleveland C. But look, Cleveland Indians blanket. I have a Wahoo, Chief Wahoo. I think it's a shirt or something. But there we go. Look at that. We're giving these out for our 5,000 sub. No, just kidding. I'm not giving those away. Okay, guys. Anyway, what else we got here? We got let's go back and take a quick peek at the standings, shall we? Let's just take a look at those standings, see where everything's at. Let's take a look at the overall or the division. Okay. It's a two-team race in the National or the American League East. Baltimore, the Yankees. That's going to be fun. They're going down to their final 40 games. Should be fun to see. I don't have a good read on who's going to win that. My guess would be the Orioles, but you never know. Cleveland, Minnesota trying to hang in there, and Cleveland's played well the whole year. Houston, Seattle had such a lead earlier on in the season again over the Astros. Over the Astros, and they just fell apart, Seattle, for a while. Seattle's going to have a tough time again making the playoffs, despite having great pitching. Philly's got such a great start that they could afford, something different that the Giants couldn't do. Philly's had such a great start. They could afford to go into a slump as they have the second half since the All-Star break, and they still got a 7-game lead. They're like 5-5, but I think they were something like 2-8 prior to, last 10, but they've won a couple in a row. Atlanta 7 back. Mets lost a couple to the A's, and that hurt them. Washington, Miami, no threat there. Brewers running away with the National League Central. Cincinnati, St. Louis tied. Cubs right behind them, and then the Pirates. Pirates just fell apart. They were 56-54, I believe. They've lost 10 in a row. Yeah, the Pirates have lost 10 in a row, people. I think they figure a way to get back in their winning ways, but too little, too late for the Pirates. Their season, a 10-game losing streak pretty much can end your season, just like a 10-game winning streak can save your season. If the Giants went on a 10-game winning streak, which would shock the heck out of me, they would have a very good shot at making the playoffs. And then in the West, we look at the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks and Padres. That's going to be a 3-team race, guys. Dodgers don't have the greatest of pitching this year, and so they're going to have to hit their way to the title. And the Giants, floundering down there in 4th place, and then the Rockies, they're in another area code. Get rid of those guys. Between the Rockies and the White Sox, the A's are better than these two teams. Look at the White Sox record right here, guys. 29-93. They're going to have 100 losses here in probably, they might have 100 losses just after they leave San Francisco next week. So this is one of the worst teams ever in history. Let's take a quick look at the wild card, shall we? And then we'll see where we're going here. It looks to me like it's a 5-teamer race for 3 spots in the American League. I think the Yankees or the Orioles, whichever team doesn't win that division, is going to be a definite wild card. The Twins look like a wild card. I think the Royals are going to have to stave off the Red Sox and Mariners. Okay. I think that's going to be tough. It's going to be either the Royals, Red Sox, or Mariners. I don't think Tampa catches them. And in the National League, to me, it's the Diamondbacks and Padres are in, and I think the Braves will get in too, guys. They're getting their guys back a little bit healthier. They've got Soler should be out maybe a week or two. Probably not too long, I wouldn't think, if it was just a tightness. If he strained it, he might be out for a few weeks, but we'll see. And the Giants are going to have to overtake the Mets and Atlanta, and they've got Cincinnati a half a game and the Cardinals a half a game right behind them, and the Cubs only 2 behind them. So the Giants' schedule, the next 5 are the easiest, but the A's are no pushover. It wouldn't shock me, guys, to see the A's actually defeat the Giants in both games. We've seen it before happen. So wasn't it last year that the A's beat them twice? So the A's are going to want to take the Giants. You know how much the A's love to beat the Giants. It's for some reason they look at it like, hey, we want to beat Big Brother. And, it's kind of bad when your big brother's kind of a nerd, though. Big Brother isn't, Big Brother. He's look like he's Farhan. That's Big Brother. That's nerdy. There's no real like, hey man, I knocked off Goliath. No, you knocked off Kermit the Frog or something. Come on. It's more likely a split with the A's. But I'll tell you what, if the Giants can get 2 in a row out of Oakland and they go in there, that's why they may be trying to decide whether to go with Snell on Saturday to get that first win. Because you get that first win and you got a shot at, getting him a second time, getting him on Sunday. So, but guys, anything else in the chat you want to cover before we get out of here for the night? I'm looking here. Okay, Matthew says, Dan, the Braves used to have Chief Nakahoma. I remember Chief Nakahoma too. Yeah, he actually knew him in his later life as he was a real person. He passed recently, but his name was Levi Walker. He was a great guy. Yeah, I remember Chief Nakahoma. Hey, do they still do that thing in Atlanta where they go, whatever that chant is? It's annoying, but it's effective if you're a Braves fan. Every time they seem to start doing that, man, it seems like they rally or they rattle a team. Anyway. Yes, in defense of the Giants, I have to say Webb. Hey, Webb looked great today. Webb has looked great the last 3 or 4 outings. I would say Logan Webb, after the start in LA where he couldn't win in a must-win game, he has found it. Logan Webb has found his changeup. That was the missing piece. That changeup, even though the other team, the batter knows it's coming, they don't seem to hit it. And his location, his sinker, the pitch that Ozuna took today on 3-2, right at the bottom of the strike zone. Ozuna didn't even wait for the umpire to ring him up. He just walked away, knew he was. But you know what? I've seen that pitch called a ball. But Ozuna was just like, it was right down the middle, hit the bottom of the zone. It was a perfect pitch by Logan Webb. Yeah, beautiful pitch. Beautiful pitch by Logan Webb. So, but guys, we are just about wrapped up. I can't think of anything else we need to cover here with the Giants. I will say this, guys. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Okay. 10 a.m. tomorrow with morning. Friday, I haven't checked with Shell. We were scheduled for 8. I'm not sure if Shell's going to be available at 10, but if she is, she will join us, and we'll see. I'll find out if she's available. But, yeah, we're kind of changing it up to 10 o'clock just so we get more viewers. More people seem to enjoy that time. And Shell is available tomorrow at 10. All right. So I'll send you the link tomorrow, Shell, and we'll figure out what we're going to cover. Hopefully we'll get a Brandon Ayuk signing tomorrow morning while we're on the show. That would be great. Guys, on the morning show, just so you know, it's a new show. It's not a long show. It's just 30 minutes or less, okay? We try and keep it to 30 minutes. So if you guys want to catch us on that, please do. We're covering the hot topics of the day. It's not just Giants, okay? It could be 49er talk. It could be Warriors. It could be something national of significance that's happening. So make sure you join us at 10 o'clock. I'm going to put the old, well, let me see if I can change this here. And yeah, I think I can. I can edit this and change this to, hold on, and I'll change that to 10. And we'll save that. And we will put that right up there, guys. There it is. Wait, why didn't it go? I hit save. Oh, that's at the bottom. Okay, we made it a ticker. Okay, scrolling at the bottom. Join us each morning at 10 Pacific to discuss everything sports. It's called Morning Game Plan, and we will be there. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on your way out, guys. Would be greatly appreciated. And thank you for joining NorCal Sports. We know there's many choices out there. Hopefully we keep you entertained and give you a great analysis of sports. That's what we try to do, not just entertain, but we really try and bring on great guests. We try and bring on people in the Bay Area that know their sports. We try to make sure we give you the best analysis. My crew, my guys, Los D, you've seen in the chat, Bora, Shell, and then we've also got Cody B from Even Year Dynasty Show that joins us on Wednesday nights with the Giants Minor League Report. Cody's a great guy, knows his baseball, and we just want to bring you the best baseball analysis, best football and basketball. The guys I have come in here, they really know sports, okay? That's where NorCal Sports is going. We're going with a different direction lately. We're really hitting hard on content, okay? Content and good analysis. There's a lot of people out there on YouTube talking sports, but and there's a lot of good shows. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good shows out there. But Mark Graves says, Schefter says Ayuk is signed. Is that out on Twitter? Let me check that. Let me just go through my phone here. Adam Schefter. Was that reported just recently, Mark? Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Never mind, not a blur check. Okay, fake. Not a blue check. Okay, not a blue check. Okay. Yeah, you get those guys that want to just get people and okay. So scratch that, guys. Wrong Schefter. Brandon Ayuk has not signed. It was a fake account. Fake account. You always got to be watching that. So, all right, guys. The motto, if you want to believe, It's Robert Rothberg with 38 games remaining. Anything is possible. Yes, Robert, it is. It is possible. I've seen crazy things happen before. The Giants would have to catch lightning in a bottle. It's going to be tough. They're 5 games behind in the loss column. They have to make up 5 whole games. And they really have to make up 6, because if they tie with Atlanta gets the tiebreaker. So they're really theoretically, they've got to make up, well, the losses. They got to pass them. They got to get, one less loss, one more win than the Braves. So if I'm doing my math in my head right, I think it's 6. So, all right, guys, we're out of here. Come join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. right here on NorCal Sports Network. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Have a good night, everybody.